Welcome back to Tipping Point. I'm your host, Kara McKinney. From the conservative Supreme Court justices now to Florida Congressman Byron Donalds. The left smear machine is in full swing mode before November. Now that Donalds is said to have been one of the few candidates to receive vetting paperwork from President Trump in order to be possibly chosen as his running mate, listen to how the Democrat House leader, Nancy Pelosi's hand-selected political heir in the lower chamber, decided to attack him.
Mr. Speaker, it has come to my attention that a so-called leader has made the factually inaccurate statement that black folks were better off during Jim Crow. That's an outlandish, outrageous, and out-of-pocket observation. We were not better off when a young boy named Emmett Till could be brutally murdered without consequence because of Jim Crow.
The only person being factually inaccurate is Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, what a nasty and vile attack over something Donalds never said. Hakeem Jeffries knows full well that Congressman Donalds was talking about how the black family survived Jim Crow intact. Not saying it was a good thing living under Jim Crow, but that it survived that horror intact, but then broke apart under targeted government intrusion under the Eisenhower and LBJ administrations when left-wing elites openly were talking about using welfare to get dad out of the home. His comments in Philly earlier this week at a black outreach GOP event had nothing to do with lynchings or racial discrimination. But Jeffries and all the talking heads on TV know that. They like to follow the tactics of Malcolm X, who always said by any means necessary, and lying and cheating certainly fall under that category. After destroying the black family for political ends, the left is now busy doing the same thing to the mostly Hispanic families crossing our southern border with yet more welfare incentives. Everyone knows it's mostly young military-age men who illegally enter, and when they do, they often find themselves at the mercy of street gangs or their diaspora, or of the cartels who brought them over. Plus, having so many young men on their own always tends to be a recipe for disaster when it comes to increased drugs, violence, sex, and crime. And yet nothing is done about the illegals who march through the streets of New York City demanding even more of the poison that the left is selling. Watch. And over in Texas, you just had a suspected human trafficker crashing through the fence of a Texas Air Force base where he and his cargo of illegal aliens led cops on a high-speed chase through the base before capture. And it's not like they expect to face much punishment for this. I mean, the 214 illegal aliens who broke down border fencing a few months back on camera and who then fought with border agents again on camera had all of their charges dismissed, as the local El Paso DA is publicly admitting.
In March cases, we have 214 cases total out of the March cases that were dismissed and are pending.
Joining us now to discuss is author Holly Rader, a candidate for Lieutenant Governor of Missouri. Holly, thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Great. So you served in the Missouri House of Representatives for the better part of a decade, 2013 to 2020, in which you served on several statewide committees advocating for the rights of sexual assault victims and for children exploited by human trafficking. So does that past experience you have help give you some key insight when it comes to understanding just how dangerous our open borders really are?
You know, it does. I was actually in the House for 8 years and I've been in the Senate for 4. I grew up on welfare and, you know, my mother struggled with mental illness, moved over 30 times from the end of my 3rd grade to the beginning of my 10th when I had to quit school to help take care of my family. I understand the enormous opportunity that we have in America, but the way that I also understand the opioid epidemic and the fentanyl crisis, and those are things that I've worked on, as well as sex trafficking. The border is not just bringing a ton of illegals over that are then going on to our system that all of us taxpayers are paying for, but it's bringing in the fentanyl that's replacing the opioids for the opioid epidemic. I mean, it's killing our kids, the sex trafficking that's going on. I mean, I had a bill this year to ban child marriage. That is still legal in the United States.